This is my third time entering WOW, third year in a row, and it keeps getting better and better and better each time. And one of my entries, fungi, it looks like a giant dancing mushroom. I got the inspiration behind that because I saw an exhibit where they had grown a ear on a mouse, the back of a mouse, and the ear actually worked. So I thought, why not combine the scenario of a crossbreed between a human and a mushroom? I thought that would be interesting. I don't know if it ever would be possible. But I actually met the model that brought my entry to life, and he does a fantastic job dancing. It's actually probably one of my favorite entries this year. My second entry, put a cork in it. It's majority cork-based, and it has corkscrews in a wine bottle. And I love that material, a little earthy material, kind of a little bit of sustainability recycling in there, using cork chunks and glass, and it's a mixed media project. It was inspired by a conversation I had with someone when they should have kept quiet and kind of told me some of their secrets. So that's why it's called Put a Cork in It. Sometimes you should know when not to say the things you don't want to be known. My third entry, Sparkling Soliloquy, it's supposed to be a ring master, but kind of ring mistress, a female ring master. And I didn't want to use cliche typical circus colors, so there's no red, no orange, no yellow. It's really soft, and it's more pretty than aggressive and wow in your face. It probably could be considered using sustainable materials because the majority of the suit is made out of wrapped and braided woven wire and beads, so it's mixed media, glass, wire, fabric, and that one is probably the entry that I have spent the longest span of time. I started it 4 years ago and finally got back to it about a year ago. So it's been a stop and go process over a long period of
time. My name is Rochelle Dene-Radine, and I have a degree in fashion design from FIT in New York City. And basically with my fashion work, the main criticism that I was always getting was that it looked like it should be on the stage as opposed to a runway, and that was a bad thing. So I eventually came to my senses and decided to move to England to study costume design. I studied at the Arts University College of Bournemouth. They have a specialization in historical costuming, which was a great love of mine. However, I quickly discovered that that wasn't what I wanted to be doing, and so I started experimenting with a lot of alternative materials, using things like leather and metal and latex, and then I found out about WOW, and it seemed like the perfect venue to display my work. My first creative piece was titled Bound Metamorphosis, and the brief for the project was basically to create something that I had no idea how I was going to finish. So I decided to do something with wings, which were wings that always fascinated me. I created the majority of the butterfly dress out of recycled leather and metal curtain rings. And the wings were made out of punched and stretched aluminium, which was actually painted with car paint. And they were lined in leather, and it was a very, very fun and interesting project to do. My entry in this year's World of Wearable Art contest is titled The Ring Mistress. And I wanted something that would convey all of the elements of the circus in one dress, with the excitement and the fun and the entertainment factor and the sexiness and the danger of it. And I was also inspired by what I knew, which was historical costuming. So I created a garment with a historical silhouette and incorporated elements of a ring mistress, and I made the majority of the dress out of latex. The fabric I was looking at what to make it out of, and I saw this fabric, and it was this shiny plastic, just over-the-top fabric, and it just seemed absolutely perfect. It turned out to be a bit of a learning experience to work with, and was a bit of a pain in some ways, but ultimately I'm really, really glad that I used that fabric, because it was perfect for the overall look of the design.
David Walker,
I am the creator of Lady of the Wood, last year's Supreme winner. And this year I entered another piece called Wood, Wire, and Fire. This year I kind of stepped out of my all wood designs, and this one's actually made out of copper wire and wood veneer and about 300 acrylic crystals, and with LED lights powered by small batteries. I first found out about WOW at one of my Wearable Art shows in Juneau. I had built actually a prototype of Lady of the Wood at that show, and Diane Palmer from Ketchikan, who has a entry here in this show, came up to me and introduced herself and told me about WOW, and really encouraged me to enter WOW at that point, actually to enter the dress that I had in there. That was my first experience with WOW. I, at that point, looked it up and checked the web, and was immediately humbled and didn't believe that I could enter anything I had previously made into it. But it did give me a goal to continue creating and hopefully make something eventually that I felt that would maybe get accepted at WOW. It took me about 3 years to get to that point, and that was Prehistoric Princess. Prehistoric Princess actually won the WETA Award and second in its category, which was much more than I ever expected it to ever do. One of the major hurdles with my designs is they're all quite large, and being wood, they don't fold up very well. Like clothing, you can usually force into a smaller box. So one of my things I had to design into each piece was for it to actually come apart and be able to fold up upon itself, to fit into a box small enough that it was affordable to send to New Zealand.